Hello, every dear person who is here. I am Denise Smith of Our Metaverse. Our Metaverse with two T's. Meta means loving kindness, and we are a community coming together in loving kindness to share our common humanity. We have so much in common. We hear about all these things we have different. And this is a little reminder that we have a whole lot in common as well. Tonight, we're going to be talking about the evolution of attachment. Attachment is a very interesting subject. We'll get into that in a little bit. I wanted to invite you all, if you have not yet, to please follow us on our social media channels. We have a Facebook page, we have an Instagram page, and we have a YouTube page, and they're all our Metaverse. Ourmettaverse. There's some, there's also, we have a newsletter that we send out weekly. And if anybody wants to be on that newsletter who's not yet, please let us know. If anybody wants to contribute to that newsletter, please let us know. If you find a poem that you love, if you find a class that you think we should consider, whatever it is that you feel like you think could benefit our metaverse, please email us at ourmettaverse.com or ourmettaverse@gmail.com with that idea. And we'll have that come in there too. So thank you for that, for a little housekeeping. Thank you to those who have donated via Zelle on ourmettaverse@gmail.com. That has allowed us to give our guest speakers who have come out of the grace of their heart just a little thank you each time they come. And it feels kind of nice to have something to be able to offer back. That is not an obligation whatsoever. We want everybody to participate and come here and not feel a responsibility towards anything financially. If there's something you felt like donating, we greatly appreciate it. I want us to start this evening with considering what our intention and motivation are. So we take a moment and we take our nice breath and we just ask ourselves, what am I doing here? What am I going to do and offer here, and why? And take a few minutes or just a minute or so and just think about that with some really clear intention. Tonight, I feel like it's my intention to come together with kind of an organized thought on attachment that I've been mulling over for a long time, to see it in a more linear manner than a chaotic manner or a not really followable manner. So I'm going to be presenting something that I put together from my perspective, and absolutely invite all comments, all questions, or hang on, what? To see this. Um, is attachment a piece of velcro? Is attachment duct tape? How do people get involved with attachment, and how do things become involved with attachment? It was like pieced together for me, and it feels like there's a little bit of a okay, it's going to help me approach things with a little different perspective. And so my intention is to bring up attachment with this kind of continuum idea with the motivation of if we understood it this way, could we take off a lot of self-blame? Could we create a little softer feeling around why people suffer? And could we potentially help heal parts of ourselves so that we could help other people feel better too? So that's my kind of intention and motivation with this subject tonight. I'm pretty excited about it. I have a slideshow, and if you guys are okay with it, I'm going to hop right into it. Is that all right with you? Wendy, are you trying to talk? I have you on mute, but I see you trying to do something. There we go.
I know, I just said that's so cute.
Can you see the slides? Oops. Can you see them change? All right, good. All right, so attachment, there's an attachment theory that has been written in the 50s by somebody named John Bowlby. And his theory of attachment is that early relationships between a child and their primary caregiver, mom, dad, caregiver, form a basis for how they connect with other people throughout the rest of their life. Attachment from Tibetan Buddhism is like a primary cause of all suffering. So it's kind of like, how do those two things, how do they come together with that? So to say it's attachment and aversion and ignorance is what they call the three poisons in Buddhism. And so attachment, ignorance, and aversion are the causes for suffering, is what they say. So we ask ourselves a question. What do you do when you don't get what you want? Let's think about that for one sec. And I'm going to prompt us with a couple of things. What do we do when we don't get to pick a movie we want to watch at home with our family? How about when somebody harms us with words? What do we do then? How about when someone said they'd do something for us and they don't do it? Now, when I say, what do we do? Think of this in two ways. Maybe our body reacts in a certain way about these things, but also consider, what does your mind do? Because our actions begin in our mind, right? So if someone says that they would do something and then they don't do it, what happens in our mind? And then what might we act upon? I'm trying to go like deeper, deeper, deeper with these. So how about when you didn't get the raise that you were promised? What happens to your mind then? What might you do or say then? Also in Buddhism, it's body, speech, and mind. Those are the three things that you're trying to keep stable and positive and altruistic. Body, speech, and mind. Speech carries its own weighted section of that. How about when you're really hungry and you don't get to eat? Not just you don't get to eat what you want, but you just don't get to eat. How about when you can't pay your rent? Does your body stay calm and your mind stay peaceful then? How about when someone in your home is violent to you? Or what would happen when others don't like to come close to you because you can't find a place to take a shower? Hmm. Can you maintain your virtuous actions in mind when you don't get what you need? So let's understand secure attachment and insecure attachment. And I'd like to use this slide specifically. This looks like some pretty secure attachment. If we were to grab on that bottom rung of these chains, it feels like looks pretty solid right there. So that, imagine that when we're reaching for our needs to be met, we're wanting this solid thing that's going to offer us fulfillment of that need. And then imagine that that picture now is like a fraying rope. So you're not even sure if you should grab for it or not. But it's your only hope. What do you do? Okay, that's just like a visual difference between secure attachment and insecure attachment. Does anybody have a question about that? So secure attachment is getting your needs met. And there are basically, and I really felt into this before I looked it up or did any basic research on this. I just went like, as a little infant, what are the basic needs that they have, right? They have a need for safety. We'll go into that more. They have a need for some type of nourishment. They have a need for some type of cleanliness. And they have a need for contact, for touch. And as I think about those more and more, they all have physical and emotional benefits. Safety can be physical safety or emotional safety. We're going to get into the reasons why they're both in a little bit, but just consider that all four of those basic needs have physical and emotional benefits, okay? It's so nice to see you guys. Insecure attachment is not getting your needs met. So you reached for that rung and it wasn't there, or it broke, or something. Or it's inconsistently getting your needs met, which I'm gonna say is pretty common. The attachment wasn't secure, consistent, or satisfying. So those four basic needs: safety, nourishment, cleanliness, and contact. And now, not just physical and emotional, but think how they are interdependent. Let's talk about safety. When a need does get met for safety, imagine your own self. I feel safe. What do you feel? Maybe calm. Maybe your mind isn't all over the place. Maybe there's even some spaciousness in your mind where it's just nothing happening, maybe. Or after a little bit of meditative practice, we can get to that. Maybe we have some access to curiosity, like, ooh, there's some space for learning, access to some creativity, some access to focus because chaos isn't going on in our mind, and to being content, satisfied, okay. What happens when we don't have that safety? And that need does not get met. We might feel nervous. Take 5 seconds, close your eyes, and feel what is it like to not feel safe. Right? Maybe our mind gets more agitated, wondering how we can get safe. Maybe we're preoccupied, worried. Maybe we feel anxious. If I'm sitting in a classroom, I'm probably not focusing on math. Pretty chaotic feeling. How about when we do get the need for nourishment met? Right? We just had a good meal. We're not stuffed. We're not hungry. Feel nice and calm, feel pretty satisfied, pretty peaceful, pretty relaxed, right? What happens when we don't get that need met? Feel hungry, we're craving something, really hard to focus, feel a little bit lazy or lethargic, right? Just basic needs. Hunger, a little nourishment. How about the need for cleanliness? Oh man, we just cleaned the entire house, or better yet, our housekeeper did. The whole place is spotless. The laundry's done. What do you feel? Kind of comfortable, feel confident about where you are or your own body being cleanly. Kind of welcoming if somebody wants to come over or if somebody wants to come close to you. You feel sanitary. What happens when you don't get that need met? Breaks your heart, doesn't it, looking at these? I was going to do like animals and stuff, but I thought, no, we need to see the human factor in this. We feel uncomfortable when we're not clean. We feel embarrassed. We actually feel shameful. And we feel sad. We don't want people to come close to us. I mean, these are limited lists. I'm sure we could go on and add more, right? And then we kind of feel lonely, maybe not deserving of somebody to come over because we're just not clean. Oh, this is our special picture of the night. Are those the two cutest cuties ever? Those are Rachel's babies. That's Bash and Isla.
Oh my God, they're beautiful.
Look at them.
No kidding.
Oh,
Look at their eyes.
look at
Uh,
them.
Oh,
They're just angels. Ah. So when we do get the need for loving contact met, we feel connected. Oh, they're so cute. We feel loved. We feel a sense of belonging. We feel co-regulated. You know how they say when sadness is half and happiness is double when you're with somebody else? Co-regulated. And we feel nurtured. Wish those babies for me. What happens when we don't get that loving contact? You feel disconnected. You feel unwanted. You feel lonely again. We don't feel regulated. We feel unregulated. And we feel neglected. So there's this interdependence of these four needs. Ask yourself, can I be safe physically without nourishment? There we go. And can I feel nourished if someone feeds me in an unsafe way? They're not looking at the temperature. It's not clean food. They throw it at me or something. Can I feel cleanly on the inside when I'm not properly nourished on the inside? And can I feel nurtured if I'm, oops, that was supposed to say nourished on the bottom. Can I feel nurtured if I'm unsafe and unnourished? So these are interdependent, these four things, which maybe sometimes why we can't just go, which one is it that I'm feeling right now? There's a big difference between surviving and thriving. Surviving, everything feels, everything good feels temporary. And that temporariness or that impermanence causes us to worry and be desperate. We get fear and anxiety. We might not be nourished one day, but maybe be nourished the next. How can we expect our mind to be clear with all that? And over time, what does that do to our body? Thriving feels much less temporary. We have some nourishment. We have some safety at home or at work or both, hopefully, meaning we have a healthy environment around us. As we go, wherever we go, we are tending to be in healthy environments. That doesn't mean the whole world doesn't have pollution. That means around us, our environment and immediate environment is safe. It's cleanly, and there's human touch, or there's great value in pets here. Okay, there's some type of touch connection with another being. So we're going to go over the insecure attachment types. Okay. And on the bottom of this, the attachmentproject.com is a beautiful place to go into this in detail if you're interested. So these are characterized by difficulties in relationships and maladaptive beliefs about ourselves and about others. Okay? So the first type is called the avoidant or the dismissive insecure attachment type. So for children, they might avoid interaction with caregivers and not seek comfort from them, when they're distressed. And adults might distance themselves emotionally, avoid closeness, and be uncomfortable with dependency or vulnerability with another person. Why? Because their caregivers in the beginning of their life were unavailable emotionally or insensitive to the child's needs. So then that child grows up expecting that from others. The second type is an anxious, there are three types, or ambivalent type. This is where children exhibit clinginess and strong emotional reactions when they get separated. This is me here. I relate to this one. Adults become overly dependent, constantly seeking reassurance in relationships. They have a fear of abandonment or rejection. Why? Because their caregivers were inconsistent in their responsiveness. Sometimes there, sometimes not. So what are we going to do when somebody's there for us sometimes and somebody's there for us not? Are you there for me? Are you there for me? Are you going to be there for me? Will you be there for me? And the third insecure attachment type is called the disorganized. This is where children may display avoidance and clinginess, leading to confusion and fear. I gotta make sure I read that. The lack of a clear strategy for dealing with separation or stress. We don't know. We might see them shut down. We might see them overreact. We don't know. Adults may have difficulty maintaining stable, trusting relationships. They may alternate between seeking closeness and pushing others away. Why would this be? Because they themselves experience trauma, neglect, or erratic caregiver behavior. I put in here trauma. This is my working definition of trauma. An experience of overwhelming emotion and no one to experience it with or to help co-regulate that emotion. Trauma. Overload. So can we see that unmet needs for security, nourishment, cleanliness, and nurturing human or later a pet touch and interaction can create a lifetime of effects, right? Just using logic with this, if in the beginning you weren't sure if you were ever going to get water, it may be really hard later on to not have a difficult relationship with water or a triggering relationship with water. Does that make sense? So just like, and Laura, make sure I'm right on this one. Just like a medical doctor can use symptoms to diagnose a problem and then prescribe medicine for somebody, understanding the symptoms of unsatisfied needs can help us begin to know how to get our own needs met or how to help another person get their needs met, right? We're so easy to say, that person's so distant. But if we look at these four simple needs, we can go, oh, wow, they must have experienced inconsistent caregiving. So I'm going to make a point of being really consistent with that person and see if that can make them feel like they're more comfortable when they're around me. Did any of those types of unmet needs resonate with you at all? Is there perhaps an unmet need that you didn't realize might unconsciously be causing certain behaviors in yourself? So, what can we do about this? Just like when we start this, it's the magical equation, you guys. The more we practice it, the more amazing it is. First, we have a clear intention. What will we do about it? Right? And so these are some ideas that we might put out there where we say, I will do all I can to create more stable relationships. I will be more consistent with others so they feel safe to depend on me. And then our motivation. Why will we do that? Well, maybe we would like those around us to experience emotional safety and intimacy when with me. Emotional intimacy, not sexual intimacy with this. And maybe eventually with your own partner, it could lead to that also. Or maybe because I want to see myself as a great partner rather than a needy partner, so I can share my whole being with somebody or with my partner. So in this situation, emotional intimacy, I'm calling a deep sense of connection and trust shared between two people where they feel safe being their true whole selves, express vulnerability without a fear of judgment, and experience mutual understanding and acceptance. It's got open communication, there's some empathy, there's a sharing of thoughts, feelings, and experiences. That's like a dream in my book right there. So what else can we do? This is where the hard work kind of comes in. We can attempt to recognize our own attachment patterns. Right? I'm going to put it at the end of this. We reflect on past relationships, and then we reflect on current behaviors in relationships. And then when symptoms of insecure attachment types remind us of ourself, we ask, what's my need here? How can I fulfill that need in a healthy way? If we just go 90 miles an hour down the freeway, like Robina was saying, we might not ever access the awareness that we're doing something or that there is a need. That if when we begin to feel uncomfortable, we slow ourselves down a bit, as she was saying, in the driveway, as we're pulling out slowly, we may be able to catch something before we're driving down the freeway and have the potential to crash our car at this high speed. So let's say that there's a fear of abandonment, like I personally suffered from severely for years. We can come together in a group like this and talk about it. We can learn more about it. We can contemplate ways that have worked for others to try to help it decrease in ourselves. And we can meditate on its opposite. I want you guys to think about meditating on something's opposite for a little while now, okay? What does that mean? It means that we can stop and in our meditation, try to get a felt sense of not having this, for this example, not having a fear of abandonment. If you walk away, I will be okay. If you get in the car and run an errand without telling me, I will not have a nervous breakdown. If you go to the other aisle in the grocery store and I look around and don't see you, I will calmly try to look for you before I panic. Those are all very familiar to me. There are therapeutic interventions that we can try. There's something called attachment-based therapy, where the therapy is specific to this idea of a need not being met when we were little and carrying on our fear of it never being met when we become an adult. That helps individuals explore and understand their patterns in relationship that might be linked to early childhood. And there are actually plenty of therapists now who can have you look at your behaviors in relationship that don't require you to go back to childhood. If you say, not going, there's a wall there, will not go back, they know how to work with what your symptoms are now to try to help you without causing you the need to go back into your childhood. There's cognitive behavioral therapy, which can help reframe negative thinking patterns. It's this way, it happened to me, everybody will always do that to me, it's not going to change, it's just like that. These types of therapies can help reframe that, get it from a different perspective and see it differently so that you can kind of open up a new aha about that relationship. And there's also somatic experiencing. Attachment wounds, like I never got water when I was thirsty. Maybe we hold that as a dry throat symptom when we're an adult. We constantly have, I'm using an example out of the blue sky here on this one, but our body holds wounds that are stored from when we were younger, is the theory. And so we can go into somatic experiencing and somatic therapy to help us find out, why is it that my throat is dry a lot? I always need to have a water bottle beside me. It could be physical, but it could absolutely have an accompanying mental factor. Building secure relationships is something that we can do. We can try to create a healthy dependency in our relationships. We can be aware of our past patterns and we can keep them in check. Am I being this? Am I being this? I'm really watching myself, right? And then on the co-regulation part of this, we have communication and vulnerability as a piece of this, where we practice saying, I'm not very good at this one thing. I know that I'm triggered from it, from experiences I had. I don't want to overwhelm you with what happened to me then. I just would love it if you could be sensitive with me about it so that we can work through this together, that I don't overwhelm you, but that you also help support and co-regulate me. Man, that would be so great. If somebody said that to me, I would want so much to try to be there to help them. Wouldn't you? Like if they reached out with a need like that. And this has also been very, very useful for me, is emotional reparenting. Now, I am fortunate in that I did not have major family issues, but I did have some emotional lack, I would say. That discussing, feeling out loud, doing things with emotions was not part of being raised in my family. And so I had to do this inner child work where I think I've explained this to you before. I learned this from a therapist where he said, get a symbol of your own inner child. And I got a little plushy stuffed animal. And that became this symbol of little Nisi. And then I took her with me in my little backpack when I went places. And I slept by her and I held her, or I went to work and put a little blanket over her. And I just imagined this little inner child in me having more emotional support than I was accustomed to while growing up. And it made this little Nisi who for 50 years was just reaching for somebody else to fulfill that. It helped fulfill her from my own point of view. I became the parent to that child that still had that need inside of me. It was really special. It sounded incredibly corny when I first heard about it. Like, whatever, that's what freaks do. But maybe it isn't. Maybe that's what people who heal do. And self-compassion. We cultivate this self-compassion and we help heal our own feelings of unworthiness or that fear of abandonment. I'll talk to you about that one. And we foster this self-kindness in a way to develop internal security. I'm going to do a quick exercise with us right here. I'm going to stop our share. And I'm going to ask you to this is going to be a few minutes, and just sit kind of calmly with yourself. Be as open as you possibly can be to receiving love from yourself to yourself. So, sometimes I'm like not in the mood to touch my heart and my tummy today. I'll do this as best I can, right? It's like, and sometimes I'm like, I gotcha. Let's hold you here. You're good, right? So just be as open as you feel like, and just kind of close your eyes or open your eyes and just really feel into giving yourself some very clear, nurturing messages of love for 2 full minutes. They might sound like, I really saw you try today to be a nice person. They might be messages of appreciating your own efforts. There might be gratitude for making good decisions when it was hard. They might be a message of forgiveness for not making a good decision. If you feel any resistance to this, know that that's your ego challenging you, and try to say, I'll come back to you in just 1 minute, ego, but for now, I'm okay. Just absorbing some self-love. And take our last 15 seconds to imagine yourself in a really nurturing, beautiful environment. And when you're ready, wiggle your little fingers and toes a little bit. Well, there's no way you're supposed to feel after that, but just check in with yourself. How am I feeling? What did that 2 minutes of self-love bring up? Was there a lot of resistance? Was there a little calm, maybe? Just be aware of how it affected you. Okay. I'm going to go back to sharing. Oh, I think I can do this one. Okay. Can you see the slide change? Did it just change? And we can also heal through community, our metaverse. We can, people who heal together or feel together, heal together, right? We hold each other gently and we say, you're not weird. You're not off the wall. You're trying to nurture a need that you have. I get it. And if I can help, I'm here. Forming a sense of belonging in a group can heal where it wasn't found elsewhere to be able to heal. And sharing experiences and providing mutual support can help individuals feel seen and heard, which breaks a cycle of isolation. No one will get me. I should never say it. I'm ashamed to have this. All that can stop. And then we can also rewrite the attachment narrative. Attachment does not have to come from the same sources it did in childhood. We don't necessarily need to go to our mom who didn't fulfill the need before and change our mom or some caretaker or whomever. We can have new healthy relationships with partners or friends or spiritual communities. We can go into those seeing ourselves as something different. This is why it is absolutely key to experience many different types of communities. When we stay in one small type of community, we don't get to see how it potentially could work. This is the joy of travel. Oh, wow. I never knew a tortilla was made with eggs and potatoes in Spain, right? We see a different way from something we just didn't have access to until we experienced it. We have to get out of our own routines to be able to experience that difference. That doesn't mean go to something that you're incredibly uncomfortable with and panic. It means slowly try a little step out and then take another step out when you realize you didn't get harmed. And then take another step out with the intention of knowing something different. Let go of fear-based attachment. I have to stay here because I need love, and no matter what, it's the only thing I can have, and I can't be alone, and so I have to be here, so I can't go anywhere, and so I'm going to stay. Let it go. Practice non-clinging love with a support system. In case the relationship doesn't work, you've got your support system and you're out before you even get into that support system. This is why a lot of times people say, allow yourself to be single until you have a support system and then meet somebody as a partner. So that if the partner doesn't work out, you have other family, you have support anywhere to fall back on, and you can get out of that relationship. You're not stuck there. But if you go straight from unhealthy into a relationship and you don't have that support system to come back to, your potential of staying in a really unhealthy relationship multiplies exponentially. This is Sangha, you guys. People who will be there to help us make great decisions and help us out of bad decisions. That's who we're looking to build. Our whole life, we're trying to build Sangha because people come in and out of it all the time. And then what happens when we go from the evolution of we tried to make friends with somebody, we tried to trust our caretakers, we tried to create a relationship with a partner, we tried to do all these things. I give up on people, I can't stand it, but I still have needs. What do? We now go to things to try to fulfill our needs instead of beings. So when we don't get the secure attachment when we're infants, and then we don't get the secure attachment as adolescents, and then we don't get the secure attachment as adults, we become excessive shoppers. We go and we turn to drugs or alcohol, which can change the feeling that is in our body regarding relationships. We go towards overeating or undereating. We go towards cutting, so at least we can have a feeling of something, some type of feeling at all. I can still feel. And we do other negative behaviors to get attention from somebody. Or we can also become reliant upon pets, which is what I think I want to advise everybody to try before all the rest. Although it's like a shopping experience to own a pet because they're so expensive. Okay. So may we all help each other heal. May we all see this attachment as very real need to fulfill what we didn't have fulfilled. And then understand others and ourselves with a little bit more grace. In Tibetan Buddhism, they teach that we are all each other's parent. They say mother. We are all each other's mother. When we look at that other being and we see that something's missing, Don't judge them and call them a freak and whatever and walk away. Become their parent in a safe way. Do what you can to care. Could you imagine how beautiful we could make things if that were the case and it was a majority way to act? Hmm. We're going to do a little exercise. We have 15 minutes left. We should just make this. It should be wonderful. Let me get out of this. All right. So this can be with a pencil, paper, your phone as a note-taking something. Okay. We're going to do just a little reflecting on what we might resonate with from those insecure attachments. You can just think about it your own self. Let's start with a group on this one. This can, done in person, this is a really, really powerful exercise. So we're going to pretend that we're all sitting in one room with each other, okay? And that we're very close to each other and that we feel each other here. And then we start cracking up because we're supposed to be serious and that never works. And then we go back to the serious part. This is me and Wendy in church growing up. Oh, stop. You're making me laugh. Oh my God. All right. So our goal here is that we're going to explore different personal attachment styles. You don't have to share this. So the first thing I would like to ask is to think about a significant attachment feature or figure, excuse me, in your life. This can be a parent. This can be a caregiver. This can be a friend. This can be a partner. If you want to go really easy, this could be your pet. That chicken just never listens to me. Okay. Whatever you feel safe exploring right now, just this is going to be a few minutes. Think of one caregiver in specific. And then you can either journal or just reflect silently for a few minutes on these 4 questions. With that one specific person in mind, how did this person meet or fail to meet your emotional needs? How did that one specific caregiver that you chose meet or fail to meet your emotional needs? Second question is, How did your relationship with this person shape your ability to trust or feel safe in relationships? How did your relationship with that person you chose shape your ability to trust or to feel safe in relationships? Our third question is, if we're ready. So the second one was, how did your relationship with this person shape your ability to trust or to feel safe in relationships? And then the next question is, if your emotional needs were not met, where did you go to get them met? I'm glad we did the self-love part of this one first, you guys. Be easy with yourselves. Don't judge yourselves now. Love yourselves through these true answers. The first question, how did this person meet or fail to meet your emotional needs? Second question, how did your relationship with this person shape your ability to trust or feel safe in relationships? Your third one, if your emotional needs were not met, where did you go to get them met? And the fourth one, what emotions come up when you think about this attachment? That's our last one. Please know how much you are loved in this community. how important you are. We'll give it about 30 more seconds to wind up. I'm going to choose to press pause as we share these, so this is not part of our recording, okay? Thank you all so much for your time and letting me guide us through this idea of the evolution of attachment. Thank you for hanging in there with me through like slideshow and details. They say that when we share from personal experience, it means more. So I don't mean to talk about myself as much as I mean to go with regards to this. Here's my experience to maybe help you tap into your own. So I hope that that's all right with you. As always, I would like to ask for forgiveness. If there's anything that was spoken of tonight that was uncomfortable or wasn't something that you expected or created a feeling somehow that was you weren't ready for, please, please forgive me. If there's anything that you contributed or thought or something that you feel like, oh, I shouldn't have said that or done that, please forgive your own self right now, 100%. Your intention and motivation for being here will drive what you get out of this. And I hope you remember what you said in the very beginning of this so that you can go, wow, okay, and feel that. I'd like to dedicate the merit that we get for coming together with such positive, altruistic intention and have it immediately go from us to every other person that needs it in the whole world. May we not be selfish with what we do well. May we take it out and give it out and share it with everyone. And may all wars end immediately.